On today's episode, we're gonna take this beautiful hydrangea that's sitting in my yard and we're gonna turn it into a lot more plants like this sitting in my yard. Except this is something you can do. So if you have a hydrangea sitting in your yard, you can take it and make like a million plants. Let's go. Well, as you can see, I have an entire tray of hydrangeas. Here they are, all moist and ready to rock and roll. So what you want to do is you want to get a really nice and clean and sanitized pruner. Let's just assume for all intents and purposes this is sanitized, so I'm not introducing any diseases to my cuttings or to the plant that I'm cutting from. So here we go. We're gonna take a nice little, we're gonna go right below a node, which is where the leaves are coming out. And there we go. Woo! See if I can find that beautiful cutting. There we go. Now we're gonna take this into the shop and make magic. So you're gonna need some seed starting mix, some cinnamon, a little bit of water, and a tray like this. All right, we're gonna take our seed starting mix and pour it into the tray. We're gonna take our seed starting mix and pour it into the tray. There we go. And we're gonna smooth it out. There we go. We're gonna take our cinnamon and pour it in the cup. That's cinnamon challenge. So we're gonna take our cutting here and we're gonna clip off this top flower portion because we obviously don't want it flowering. So I'm gonna take off all these little flowers. And by doing this, we'll ensure that it will focus on its roots. Now I'm gonna take this and make about a 2 to 3 inch cut. So I'll go below this node here. Let's see, get a nice close up here. Cut below that node, drop it. Then I'm gonna take and cut off the leaves here. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm gonna take all these other leaves and cut them in half, because they don't really need to photosynthesize. And I'll also take off some of these leaves. I'll thin it out a little bit, because we're really focused on the root growth, not much else. So once I thin out my leaves, I'm gonna cut them in half, because we don't need all that extra photosynthesis. We're really focused on getting the root growth going here. And once you get all of these extra photosynthesizers cut, we're dipping it in water, getting the end nice and wet, and then we'll dip it in our cinnamon. Then we'll stick it in our growing medium. There we go. Now, that should produce roots. Now we're just gonna put the cover on and slide it in a nice shady location right under the hydrangea. Ugh. There we go. Make sure that cover is on. Oop, it's a little crooked. There we go. Beautiful. And that's how it should be. All right, we're out here next to our garden, where we are going to attempt to do an in-ground greenhouse. So we're just starting to dig out. We're gonna do like maybe an 8-foot wide situation, so we can maybe fit our greenhouse panels just over the top of our hole. I don't know how we'll shore up the dirt sides yet, but This is just the beginning. Well, day one, we've got about a 4x8 sheet dug by hand, maybe a foot and a half deep in some places. The idea is to have this greenhouse where you couldn't see it from the house. And I'm exhausted. So we're gonna call that our day one, and we're gonna call that our day one. It's a lot of digging. Well, it's day two. Well, I'm about maybe an hour, maybe less, into day two. I have no idea what I'm doing. As you can see, I'm building a berm. I'm putting the grass on the top, and I'm gonna backfill behind the grass with clay, because that's how my land is structured. We got grass. Below the grass we have what we call soil, and then we hit the clay. And so I'm trying to organize my my dirt here. So I got my grass clumps, and I'm trying to move them towards the front. And eventually we're gonna have a depression in the ground. I'm gonna bring in compost. I'm gonna try to mix it in with the clay here. Or I'll just bring in, organic soil or something for the inside. But then we'll cover the top with some polycarbonate greenhouse sheets. We can do double ply or triple ply. And they're running about $120 a sheet for triple ply right now at the local store. But I may need a wooden structure on the inside to support the roof, because we do get snow. I haven't figured out the angle of the sun in the winter or anything like that yet. Right now it's just digging a hole, and once we do that, we'll make adjustments. But we're starting to build up the surrounding wall. The hill gets higher as we move that way. It gets lower this way. So at some point I won't need to build up a wall on this side, or I may, just slightly. But right now I'm building up this side with a wall so it can eventually match this side. I'm not sure how wide or long this is going to be, and I am thinking about doing a dome, but yeah, here we go. All right, well, this is a lot of work, and I don't really have a drawn out plan. As you can see, I'm digging a hole right now. It's a rectangle. I don't know if that will morph into a dome shape, but right now, to get that passive winter heated greenhouse, I know you have to dig down into the earth, and I know we need a very thick wall. And so once I excavate the soil, I am putting the grass on the outside. And as you can see on the low end here, we're starting to get, kind of a wall going. Will I turn this into a dome? It's possible. I mean, you can always turn a rectangle into a dome. And you know what? We're gonna start small, which is pretty big in my case. I might have to end up spending maybe upwards close to $1,000 to get polycarbonate panels over the top. But I'm gonna try to use the earth and maybe my local resources such as trees to kind of jerry-rig this winter greenhouse. It's the first week of September. Tomorrow is Labor Day. I'm not sure if I'll have this ready to go in time for winter, but I'm kind of excited. So we'll see what happens. It's just a lot of hard work. Right now I'm probably going to go inside and take a break. So this might be day 2, part A. We'll see if we get a B in later today.